This has happened a couple times this year. To this point, the Lions have been able to overcome the injuries. But how much do they have in the chamber? This is Alex Anzalone now. You're talking about losing your captain of the team and on that defensive line in Aidan Hutchinson, and now you're talking about losing a captain of effectively with your linebacking core.
Yeah, Alex Anzalone, he's the leader of the defense. He's just to give you some numbers that he's putting up this year to give into context how important Alex Anzalone is. He's third on the team in tackles. He's tied for first on the team in tackles for loss with Aidan Hutchinson, which is another Hutch is awesome thing, and it sucks that he got hurt because he's played half as many games as Anzalone, but still is tied, has the same amount of tackles for loss. Anywho, I digress. And Alex Anzalone is first on the team amongst linebackers in passes defended. And I think where you're going to miss Alex Anzalone the most, in my opinion, is his coverage, because he is the best coverage linebacker on the Lions. He's the one that is usually gets those matchups with the running backs coming out of the backfield and the tight ends. He's the one that is your guy on third down who you want to get those assignments and make those stops. So that is definitely going to be someone that you miss, somebody that the Lions are going to have to again replace, as they've had to do so many times this year. However, and I'm just going to touch on this briefly and then I'll let you guys expound upon it. If you want some good news, Jack Campbell and Malcom Rodriguez are playing the best football of their lives right now. Just like with every other injury, people are stepping up, and they're stepping up in droves. And isn't it just perfect that right as Alex Anzalone goes down, which of course you hate to see it for him, and you want the Lions to obviously play with their full complement of players. That's right when Malcom Rodriguez comes back, and he came back with a bang. So I think the Lions will be fine. You're definitely going to miss Alex Anzalone, but as the Lions have done with every other injury, it's next man up. They've got a lot of depth. Even some of their depth is hurt, but they still have enough, I think, to sustain this season to where they're still going to be the no doubt 1 seed.
It is absolutely wild and crazy. And yeah, you never want to understate the losses that we have right now. You know, Aidan Hutchinson, Anzalone, Davenport, and others. But you got me even more fired up for this team. And it's not just for what you say, but what these guys are doing out there on the field. Now, the one thing we know that if this was last year, what we would be losing in an Alex Anzalone would be one of our two players that the league is complaining about. But this year, there's a level of physicality that I've seen the entire team take their game up to that tells me, you know what, we will be okay. With everything that I've seen from Alex, from Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, scheming, no matter what deck of cards he's being handed, no matter what it is, he's been able to scheme up like the perfect game plan defensively. Whether it's mobile quarterbacks, whether it's outdoors, or no matter what the case may be, a team that likes to play downfield, he's been able to bottle up effectively he's been able to do it. It's not effectively. He's done that to every team, even in the game against the Buccaneers. And so I am confident in this squad. But when you mention guys like Jack Campbell, when you mention guys like Rodriguez, it's awesome seeing those guys all over the field. So when you start talking about quarterback hits, tackles for loss, the stops in the run game, they have shown to be really, really good at that this year. Sure tacklers, physical tacklers. Like Rodriguez is not just hitting people. He's making sure to toss them. And that's what I'm like, you know what? Let's get it, because that's the stuff that had guys like DJ Moore complaining about Alex Anzalone.
Yeah, and you know what? They're going to be complaining about other players too if they choose to do so. I think everybody should just man up and not complain at all, but that's their prerogative.
They've been doing it all season
already. That's fair. That's why I say everyone should just man up. But the reality is right here, right now, if Alex Anzalone is healthy or not, Jack Campbell's the best linebacker on this team. And this isn't a shot at Alex Anzalone. It's more a testament to how much Jack Campbell has grown. And that's how it should be, because Jack Campbell needed to prove why he was a first-round pick, and he has done that. Yep. Jack Campbell leads this team in tackles. He's got 78. The next highest has 57. And I think what's even most impressive, just when you look at the numbers, because the numbers really match with what the eye test says, he leads the team in tackles assisted on by a wide margin. And do you know what that tells me? That tells me that Jack Campbell is all over the field. That tells me that if somebody is trying to run up the middle, for example, they go to DJ Reader first. He clogs everything up. He maybe gets a hand on a guy, and then Jack Campbell cleans it up. It tells me that Jack Campbell is flying sideline to sideline and in pursuit. If a defensive back or a defensive end or anybody else gets a hand on a guy first, Jack Campbell is there to clean up the mess. And oh, by the way, because we all knew that Jack Campbell had this in his arsenal, his coverage has vastly improved this season.
Yep.
His passer rating allowed when targeted is over 22 points better this season than it was last year. Last year, he was kind of a liability in coverage. This year, no more. Jack Campbell this year, he is playing like a middle-class man's Luke Kuechly. A middle-class man's Luke Kuechly. And I think that his ceiling is a rich man's Luke Kuechly, where Luke Kuechly is a billionaire, if that makes sense. I don't think he's ever going to be Luke Kuechly, because Luke Kuechly is one of the best I've ever seen. But Jack Campbell he's on that Pro Bowl trajectory, no doubt about it.
Hey, you know what? Shout out to Jack Campbell. Shout out to kind of the steps he's taken this year, because Dan Campbell told us in the offseason, we believe that he's finally ready to be that green dot type linebacker. And they haven't really skipped those steps. They'll tell you straight up with these players, yeah, we drafted them. Yeah, we believe they're going to pan out. But Jahmyr Gibbs is going to need a little time. But J-Mo's going to need a little bit of time. But this might have to work itself out. And they've been honest with that. But when they've also stepped up and said, these guys are ready to go, they've been ready to go. And Jack Campbell has looked every bit of what Dan Campbell said he would be this season. And that's why I talk about the physicality and the coverage thing. I'm so glad you brought that up, because when we talked about during the offseason, the additions and what we want to see the Lions do, the linebacking core obviously was one thing that I was very, very, very high on. Why? I thought that those guys were going to take those steps forward, and they have so far. It's going to be interesting to see how this team responds to Anzalone being out, their leader on the field as well. I do want to see how Jack Campbell does in that regard. But I'm confident in what the squad is going to do from the linebacker position. I've been confident. And you know what else? Something that Jack Campbell is, Flannel?
What's up?
He's going to be on your back. So, yeah, jersey watch. Let's get the Dick Campbell jersey watch.
Gonna be getting lots of jerseys.
He's gonna get a lot more opportunity, I think.
You know, if they win the Super Bowl, I don't care if I'm broke and destitute. I won't be, no matter what. Don't you worry about me, people. I'm just joking.
There we go.
But no, it's
think
great.
He's gonna get there?
Oh yeah, I think so. Especially, and one of the reasons why too, and this is where I want to at least temper things just a little bit for the whole, because I don't want to undersell Alex Anzalone. One thing that, and one way in which Jack Campbell and Malcolm Rodriguez, for that matter, who's had an outstanding season for what his expectations were in his own right, one thing that they're going to need to be prepared for is to get more usage when it comes to coverage. They're going to be getting some of the assignments that Alex Anzalone was getting, because when you look at the numbers for Anzo versus Campbell and Rodrigo, Alex Anzalone was targeted much more than those other guys were. It's by 2 times more than Jack Campbell has, and that's because Alex Anzalone is the coverage linebacker. Now that's going to be Campbell and Rodrigo's job. The good news is that Malcolm Rodriguez's coverage numbers for the last couple of years are actually pretty good. He actually, believe it or not, this season has a lower passer rating allowed when targeted than Alex Anzalone. I'm not saying he's better at coverage. He doesn't have the usage. But Malcolm Rodriguez, he's kind of sneakily turning into that all-around linebacker. I'm not saying that he always was it, but he's tied for third on the team in sacks. He's really good against the run, and by the passer rating allowed when targeted metric, he has been a better coverage linebacker than Alex Anzalone. Although that's not true. It's impressive that his number is what it is.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I expect him to continue up the same kind of ferocious play. And I wouldn't be surprised if we find him in a position to be able to get an interception too. We know that. We know, we know he has good hands. We've seen him do, he got one this year. He got one against Baker last year, right?
Rodrigo?
Yeah.
He got one in the NFC Championship.
In the NFC Championship game. Yeah. Hey, it'll be interesting to see because I want to see what Aaron Glenn is going to do scheme-wise. And I know we got a lot more we're going to talk about as it relates to the safeties, as it relates to a linebacker.
A possible reinforcement?